Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's your good friend Eric Thompson. This is the Ninja Selling Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Happy New Year. This is our first podcast of 2025. This is a special one because I am joined by two special friends. I'm here first with Jon Hill, one of our ninja coaches. Hi, Jon.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. And we are here, Jon, with one of your coaching clients. We are here with Jonny Layne. Hi, Jonny.
Morning. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Jonny, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And everyone should know, first of all, Jonny is with Compass Real Estate. Jonny, you live in Maryland, but you serve which markets? Tell us about which markets that you serve.
Got four of the 50 states knocked out. So DC, Maryland, Virginia, and then working on a presence over at the Delaware beaches, stretching from Lewis, Delaware, all the way down to Ocean City, Maryland.
Fantastic. So serving several markets, but all geographically close to each other.
Yep.
It's great. Okay. Everyone should know right up front, we're going to title this podcast Bounce Back. You're going to hear an amazing bounce back story from Jonny from his early years that's relevant to today. And then you're also going to hear a story about bouncing back from burnout. Look, we've all been there before. We've all, at least momentarily, questioned if we want to keep going in real estate. You're going to hear that story, Jonny. And so, Jonny, I'm just going to say up front, thank you for being open and transparent with your stories. It's going to be really helpful.
I mean, if I can impact anybody for the betterment and put them on a path to where they can accomplish anything, then it's the least that I can do. So
that's very ninja of you, Jon. We really appreciate that. We greatly appreciate that. What's fun about this podcast, Jonny, is that you were introduced to coaching through the podcast, listening to it, and then here you are being a guest. It's kind of fun.
It's crazy. It's like we were saying beforehand when we got started, I was just listening to this podcast and now I'm on it. It's just very odd to say, but this was definitely something that toward the end of 2023 that I began to kind of explore more so as far as self-growth, and stumbled upon this based upon our brokerage sharing some insights on some different coaching possibilities that were out there. And I really resonated. And I think the resonation with me, with everything in the topics and the people, what they were going through and what they were sharing just made so much sense to me amongst all the other different platforms that I don't want to say necessarily take you away from being your best self, but your most authentic self. And so, yeah, that's how I kind of got started, was just listening to this. So it's crazy to be here.
Got it. Yeah, well, we appreciate it again. How did you first get introduced to Ninja?
It was just, there was an email around that was going on for business planning last 2023. And I thought, okay, I'll pay whatever fee it is to do the business plan. And I think it was about 3 hours or so. And that for me, after listening to the podcast, was, wow, I've got opportunities within my database that I didn't even know. I'm concentrating on probably not necessarily all the right things all the time. I think as real estate agents, we kind of open our computers and go, what should I be doing? And this was really eye-opening of what was already in my world. And when I saw that, it's like the Oz curtain. I couldn't unsee it.
Oh, fantastic. I love that metaphor. Think about the Oz curtain. Yeah, in opening up that curtain, seeing all the possibilities, seeing what's right in front of you, how to leverage your relationships turned into a great year for you. You had a great year last year. Jon was telling me that you closed, I believe, 9 million in volume. It's fantastic. Congratulations. This is your 8th year in real estate. Is that right?
It is. It is my 8th year in real estate. And yeah, I mean, 20 to 23 were great years, but this specific year in 2024 was a lot different because I did business completely different. And I'm really excited about what the future holds, not necessarily what the end result of 2024 is, but what 2034, 44 looks like, and kind of the trajectory of life gets me really amped up. So
yeah. Fantastic. Okay. So in a minute, we'll talk about where you were at the end of 23 and then where you ended up. We'll talk about that bounce back story. But first, if it's okay, let's go back even further. And you were telling me earlier about an amazing story and incredible in terms of the outcome and where you ended up. You spent some time as a child in a shelter and even homeless. And so tell us about that, because I find it to be so inspirational, so motivational, and the way that you view circumstance. We all have circumstances that occur, and the way you view circumstance and the choice that you made on how to view that circumstance is amazing. So to the extent you're open about sharing that, please do.
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking, Eric. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we always talk about not having a victim mentality, but I think it's more important to realize that everyone on this planet is going through or has gone through something. And if you can understand, and I understand that people are going through things outside of what they want to share with us. They could have a sick relative, they could have had somebody that passes away, they could be going through a medical issue. And so my circumstance isn't any different than anybody else's. It's just I'm willing to share it. And yeah, when I was younger, my parents were married, and then obviously they had a contentious separation and divorce. I ended up having custody battles, being forced to be between custody battles between both parties, to a point where my father in second grade came up to my school, convinced the principal to take me out of the school, and took me to Florida immediately. And as any second grader can imagine, the only things you care about in the 80s are your GI Joes and your Star Wars figures and your stuffed animals. And I didn't have a chance to get that. I'm not bitter or anything. You can still hear how much those things meant to me then.
It's amazing. There you were in second grade in class, and your dad shows up and said, "We're going to Florida and taking away from your friends and your GI Joes and your all those things."
It was hard, but you don't know what you don't know, right? You're young, and when I finally was able to move back here to the Maryland area with my mom, she was in a relationship with somebody that wasn't that great, and unfortunately didn't treat her and I probably the way that we should be treated. And one night she told me, "We're leaving," and I'd had belt marks all over my back and was scared to death. You can probably hear it in my voice trembling, just going back to that moment. But, I was scared to leave, but we left and we ended up at a homeless shelter. And I, at 45 years old now, know that time has had such an impact on me because I was around so many other people that were going through what I was going through, right? I didn't have to sit here and go, "Oh, poor me." Not that I wanted to do that, because when you're that young, all you want to do is hang out with your friends. And so I made friends there and I made a lifestyle there, and we weren't talking about all the things that happened. We were just going outside to play and playing sports and hanging out. But I knew that, eventually, as I continued to kind of process being there, that it was just something that was really, really hard. And I've taken that same mentality in my life of not being a victim and just trying to be an inspiration for, those around you that can be the best version of themselves despite any of the setbacks that have happened in their life. And if you would have probably asked me, would I trade any of that to happen to me? I would never do that, because I wouldn't have the appreciation for life, my family, my kids, the love for every day that I get up if I didn't have that. So I'm appreciative of it.
Okay, that is remarkable. That is beyond remarkable that you have that perspective. We commend you for that, obviously, and thank you again for being so open. And when you were telling me this story before we started recording, you said that you really wanted this to be this part of your story to be a lesson about how to view circumstance. You went through an extreme circumstance, and you were able to use that for yourself as a lesson in how you view that. And you said that you can be a victim of circumstance, or you can use that circumstance as leverage to move forward. And the way you're using it sounds like is to see a whole lot of gratitude in your life about the things that you have now compared to what was happening for you before. And look, we all have those hard things, right? We all have those circumstances, whether they're as extreme as this or not. And our ability to not be a victim, but to use those, build character, motivation, gratitude, et cetera, is a big deal.
It's huge, Eric. I mean, the gratitude piece, and also just being honest, right? I think that on so many levels, we look at social media and what we see on TV and everything as being so pristine and pure and clean and everything. But on the nuances of what's actually happening internally are things that are not showcased enough. And I'm willing to share all those things because I have an appreciation for the smallest things. A sunrise, it's nice outside, it's not raining, it is raining, it's good for the grass. All those things coincide with just having a better day every single day.
Yeah.
I start my day, with gratitudes, affirmations, and visualizations. And the only one that I say every single day, I won't say the every only one, but the most important is I woke up today. Everything else is extra credit. And every time I say it, I get goosebumps down my shoulders, down my arm, because it really just gives you an appreciation that I'm not going to be remembered for anything else more than just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be for my family, for my friends. They're not going to remember that I was in real estate. They're going to remember, what I did for the community, how I impacted their families, if I was a good person. Those are the things that matter to me. And if I'm concentrating on those things, then everything else is just extra credit.
I woke up today, everything else is extra credit.
1000%.
I am going to adopt that as an affirmation, as a journal entry. I love it. Jon, what is it like to coach someone like this with this type of mindset? I mean, it just must be such a treat.
Absolutely, Eric. Jonny is one of those unique people. And one of the cool things about coaching is a lot of times we take a lot of lessons from our coaching clients. And I've never once come off a coaching call with Jonny and ever felt like I have anything close to drained, low energy level. There was a very key change early in our coaching relationship where that saying, as Jonny says, I woke up today, showed up constantly in his weekly celebrations, and everything was extra credit. And similar to what you're talking about of taking that lesson and moving it forward, I felt that right. I get the gratitude of, I get to see Jonny on my schedule this week. I'm going to be that much better for it. And we have a great time in each one of our calls.
I can only imagine. It's terrific. Okay. So speaking of that, Jonny, you started working with Jon in November of 2023.
Yeah, right around 23, maybe January of 24.
Yeah, I think we initially got in contact maybe the end of December 24, rough timeline there. Yeah.
Okay.
About a year.
Yeah, about a year. Everyone listening, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I said we're titling this one Bounce Back. And now we're going to shift to the story, Jonny, around you bouncing back from burnout. And so there you were toward the end of 2023, frankly, not in this mindset that you're having right now, and having some questions about real estate as a career, about the industry. And so can you kind of walk us through where you were at that point? And I'm asking you this because so many of us have been at that point. Maybe someone listening is there right now. And I think it will help them to know that they're not alone, and it's a very common thing that happens.
If you're listening, you're not alone. Trust me. I'm sure it's probably all of us are going, those demons between our ears are definitely there that make us feel a very specific way. But yeah, nothing is permanent in life. And so when you kind of realize that taking the initial step to actually have some coaching that's going to benefit you and being able to kind of look at things from a completely different perspective when you're at that point is exactly where I was at. Do I continue to press forward, or do I go ahead and just close up shop just because I didn't feel the zeal and moxie for I don't want to say life, but I just didn't wake up every day with like excitement to do what I do. My excitement, I can scream it through the mountaintops because I'm in Colorado, so I might as well do that. But of how excited I am every single day, and it becomes the gratitude piece. And when you are in this lull of scarcity and just burnout, I was going through 20 to 23, those years of more relief when I got to the closing table than celebration. And it just felt like every text message, every email, everything was just pointed at me of why they didn't get the house, or, why this or whatever it is. And I take a very personal responsibility in everything that I do. And, this is a very relationship driven business, and that waned on me. And I'd had a team of individuals in the years 21, 22, 23, where we did some business, some substantial business, but I was miserable. And it just wasn't fun. And if it's not fun, then why are you doing it? And that's when I stumbled upon the business plan. And that's when I met Jon. And Jon and I were like, let's go. And now here we are.
Here you are. Yeah. So what was it that got you from, I'm not sure if I should keep doing this, I've lost my zeal, I've lost the motivation, to, oh no, I'm going to not only keep going, but I'm going all in, and I'm going to make this happen. And where you got that spark back. Can you point to one thing, one moment, or was it a slower transition? Walk us through what happened for you.
It was definitely a gradual piece. I mean, Jon can probably share in regards to the beginning start of our coaching calls and our weekly meeting agendas that we would share with each other. I didn't quite understand what I was doing or what I was sharing. So it was very bullet point oriented. And then at the end of the year, they turned into paragraphs and novels. It felt like at some point in time with a lot more immense detail. And so I would say that having Jon in my corner of just incrementally being able to share his insights, not making me feel as though that I was on an island by myself, that I was very much included of how a lot of people think, but then gave me the tools along with a playbook to become successful and get control of and ownership of something that I should love to do, right? Like, I mean, how many people get to get up and love what they do? This is a people-driven business, and I consider myself a people person. I love people. I love hanging out and making jokes and having a great time. So like, why am I not putting that in force in everything that I do? And so I would say that gradually, Jon, just hitting all of these, he'd tell me more about that. He would expand on things. He would do this Jedi mind trick where he would say something and it would take my brain literally into different places that I hadn't uncovered before. And I would write those down and put them in my notes and then read them and would try to get better the next week and the next week and the next week. And I told him, coach me hard. I want to be coached hard. I love Kobe Bryant. It's my favorite basketball player ever because he put in the work, like Jordan put in the work. And I'm not results oriented. I'm the work oriented. And Jon was all about that. And so like, because we saw the same vision together and he would add in different things, that's where I started seeing it a couple months into it.
Yeah. And you told me that you were an athlete.
Yeah.
You still are athletic. You were a competitive athlete back high school, college.
Yeah.
Right.
Soccer. Yeah. Soccer player. And then I love to golf and CrossFit and anything to stay moving. So yeah.
Right. Terrific. And a great match to coach with Jon. Jon, you are an athletic coach in addition to being a real estate coach.
Yeah.
You coached the girls basketball team to a state championship.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough the past year. I've been coaching athletics for 12 years, a variety of different things from football to basketball, boys and girls basketball and track, and was fortunate enough last year to have a team that we won a state championship.
Right. So two of you hit it off on that level. Jon, can you go back to the first couple months of working with Jonny, and what was it you were focused on with him at that time?
Yeah, I think the big thing was, as Jonny describes himself, he wants to be coached hard. But in that, at the same time, I think there's this idea that coaching hard means you're hard on someone. And those are very different ways to approaching it. And a lot of times we had to take a moment and find the things that he was doing well. He could constantly tell me the things on the Ninja 9 that we weren't doing. But I wanted to take a moment and say, Jonny, what are you doing? What are you doing to drive business? Who are you helping on a daily, weekly basis that you're having a real impact? And as we started to focus more, not on the results and necessarily even the habits, but how we were changing people's lives around us, that's where you started to see that shift of everything became gravy. Yes, we absolutely talked about some of the more finite parts of real estate, implementing some different things from the Ninja 9 to asking forward questions to maximizing client events and making sure we get the most out of them with calling before and writing notes afterwards. But the biggest thing for him is I think he needed someone to say, one, you're not alone. I have plenty of clients going through the same thing. And two, you're doing a lot right. There's just some small tweaks to get you to the next level.
Got it. Because so often we find in coaching, Jon, that people are they are only seeing the shortcoming. They're only focused on what they're not doing.
Yeah.
How they need to be better. What you focus on expands, and so that can become a big overwhelming thing. And so often in coaching, we're getting people to focus on what they are doing and the wins that they are having, and how can we get more of those same wins.
Yeah.
And that's really where we get the leverage and the momentum. I like what you said about what coaching hard is not. Coaching hard is not harassing someone and giving a hard time and saying, what the heck is your problem?
Yeah.
We don't do that. That doesn't work in coaching, certainly not the ninja coaching approach.
Yeah, I tell everyone on the first call that I have with them, and most of my people, I think, with my athletic background, expect some level of like intensity, which I'm happy to match intensity, and that's what I'm here to do. But I always tell people, I will never beat you up any worse than you already did. And you mentioned this early in our relationship. There's no need for that. There's no need to carry that negativity. We can't change the past. We can change where our 2 feet are right now and moving forward. And I think that permission to letting go of what you haven't done and how do we adjust really gives people like, it's okay.
Yeah, got it. Jon, before we press record on this podcast, you were telling me about what I would call an inflection point in your coaching with Jonny, where you noticed all at once a very significant shift, and it showed up in that we've referenced it earlier in this podcast, that it showed up in the weekly meeting agenda. Everyone listening should know that it's a 4-page document that we ask our coaching clients to complete and turn into the coach. It's a great way for the coach to be tuned in to what's happening in that client's business and life, and to help things stay on track and to help guide the call. but you noticed something that started to show up in that weekly meeting agenda. So to talk a little bit about that inflection point.
Yeah. So one thing, I have to give a huge compliment to Jonny, and you guys need to reach out to him individually. He has a trapper keeper. We'll call it a binder. I did not know what a trapper keeper was prior to my relationship with him. Maybe that's my age, but he kept every single weekly meeting agenda from this year. And we just found out it was 52 of 52, right? And that, whether he got a 0 on his forward record or he got a 50, it still got turned in. And about 3 months in, I love to look at the reasons to celebrate. I think it's a great gauge of mindset. Can we find something to celebrate, and how big or small? Is it real estate focused? Is it personal? And Jonny continually started to say, I woke up today, everything else is gravy. And not to the point of where it was a one-off. I'm talking almost every call. I would ask a question, hey, how's the family? What's going on? And that comment would be said back to me. And with sincerity and genuineness, I mean, Jonny just mentioned it to us. When he says that, he gets chills, and you can visibly see the energy that he feels, the gratitude of thinking back to his, beginning of life situations, to even experiencing burnout last year, that he truly is grateful each and every day to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jonny, could you share just on a real tactical level, as you look back at 2024, what are the things that really work for you? Like you think about the specific actions that you were taking, specific things you were doing with clients. It sounds like maybe there was a client event. On a tactical level, are there things that stand out for you that really worked?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is handwritten notes, staying in flow with people. And what I began to learn over the last 365 plus days was picking up on the nuances of what would happen in my daily interactions with everybody. It didn't matter if I was invited over to a housewarming party to go watch football, or somebody sent something in the mail, or somebody sent me a text message. But then I was actively looking and seeing things from a completely different paradigm of how I could be different than everybody else. Could I pick up the phone call when someone's going through a very difficult time, rather than just maybe posting on social media? Could I do all these other things to continue to help others around me, and basically selfishly fulfilling my bucket of going back to be grateful, of making myself feel good? Because it's a two-way street, right? There's the dopamine release that you get for giving, but selfishly, I'm getting it because I'm giving it, right? And you become addicted to that. And I became really addicted to that. Our client events, this is the second client event that I had this year. I had one in 2023, and it was amazing. When your clients are there, high-fiving you, hanging out, picking your kids up, your mom is there, your wife is there, your families are there, people are interacting with each other. There's just no better platform. And so taking these things, looking at different things has just been like an eye-opening extreme. And I've also not been difficult on myself of what's happened in the past, business-wise, of any mistakes, because again, we're not perfect. Then another thing I'll say to myself all the time is the dashboard is bigger than the rear view for a reason. We move forward, right? We're always continuing to improve. And so I'm always just trying to continue to improve, to be the best version of myself, and continue to procure my process. So I am the best version of myself for everybody in every capacity. My family, Jon knows this, is the number one thing in my life. My wife and my kids, I love them. I probably could start crying. I love them, and I've been away from them for 4 days. I need to be the best version and an inspiration for my son and for my daughter. She wants to be a Broadway dancer. I want her to have all of the energy and the tools that I have to be the best example for her. And setting forth that gets me excited to share that with the entire world. So these things that we learn in Ninja and in coaching stretch way beyond business. And if they're not impacting your life and making it better, then I don't know. That's, for me, that's what it's. I'm just having more fun because I'm excited, because I'm living a better life, not because I'm doing any more business. I'm just excited because I get to talk with people and hang out and leave the day for what it is. That doesn't go away.
Jonny, that is awesome. And I think that's like a perfect way to finish. I can't imagine anything better than that, any better way to finish. And Jonny, I just want to say again, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for being so open, honest, transparent about your the story you told about your childhood, and then your story you told about bouncing back. People can take, I know, so much from both of those stories. Jon, thank you for being here too, and sharing your insights as Jonny's coach. Again, everyone, I've been your host, Eric Thompson. I'm here with Coach Jon Hill and his client, Jonny Layne, who is with Compass. based in Maryland, but Jonny, again, you serve the Maryland, DC, Virginia, and now Delaware areas. So people, I'm guessing, are welcome to reach out and say hi. Maybe people want to say thank you for what you shared, and so I'm guessing you're open to that, Jonny?
Always open. Anytime that somebody wants to call me, text me, or whatever, I'll probably keep you on the phone longer than you want to be, just because I get really excited about everything that I do. But I'm an open book. You can find me on Instagram. You can just search Jonny Layne, and pretty much anybody that's a real estate agent, you can search for them if you can find them. So you can just search it in the toolbar, find me, ping me. I'll be more than happy to chat. Can't wait to connect.
Fantastic. And it's Layne, Layne, if you are searching online. Jonny without an H, by the way, right? So, and Jon without an H, Jon Hill, thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Everyone, thank you for listening. We are back now in 2025. You can expect a weekly podcast. We are so grateful you're engaged with this podcast. You're part of the Ninja Nation. We wish you the very best 2025, that all your dreams come true, that we help you get from the life you have to the life you dream about. Happy New Year. Thanks for engaging. We look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care.